And turning now to Iowa and a look ahead at a big day tomorrow in a case. It's a new case that we have been following, a very interesting one. One of the two teens is set to be sentenced in the death of their Spanish teacher. Jeremy Goodale and his classmate, Chaden Miller, have pled guilty to ambushing 66-year-old Nohema Graber, beating her to death with a baseball bat, and then hiding her body in a Fairfield park. That was 2 years ago. Miller was already sentenced to life in prison earlier this year, and now we look ahead to the sentencing for Goodale tomorrow. Chanley Painter reports.
Is it your personal desire to accept this plea agreement and proceed today to plead guilty to the crime of murder in the first degree?
Yes, sir.
In April, 18-year-old Jeremy Goodale, along with his friend, 17-year-old Willard Chaden Miller, pleaded guilty to first-degree murder in the beating death of Iowa Spanish teacher Nohema Graber. The 66-year-old was taking her daily walk when she was ambushed by the two Fairfield High School students in November of 2021.
She was the kindest, sweetest lady I've ever met. And for something this tragic to have happened to her, this violent, it still doesn't seem real.
Prosecutors say Miller and Goodale murdered Graber because she gave a bad grade to Miller. They were both 16 years old at the time.
I would like to take this opportunity to wholeheartedly accept responsibility for the role that I've played in the murder of Nohema Graber.
Miller admits to helping plan and carry out the killing, but in court, he denied hitting Graber.
Did you act as a lookout while Jeremy Goodale struck Nohema Graber?
Yes.
Did you know that Jeremy intended to kill Mrs. Graber?
Yes.
Did Mrs. Graber die as a result of being struck?
Yes, she did.
However, Goodale says Miller made the plan and they both struck her.
Chaden had brought a bat, among other supplies, to go through with the murder. I was posted as a lookout while Chaden struck her in the back of the head with his bat. After he had struck Nohema Graber, we then moved her off of the trail, where I then struck her, and she died as a result. Afterwards, we removed any evidence that we could.
At Chaden Miller's sentencing in July, family members of the victim spoke out about their loss.
Not only was Nohema robbed of 30-some of the best years of her life, her murder deprived Paul Graber of the love of his life and certainly hastened Paul's own premature death.
The judge sentenced Miller to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 35 years, 5 more years than prosecutors asked for. Now Goodale faces the same judge to find out how much time he will serve after pleading guilty to the murder of Nohema Graber.
If you persist in this guilty plea, the outcome may be less favorable to you than what the guilty plea or the plea agreement is.
I do, Your Honor.
Just such a sad case there. We do want to bring in our guest, criminal defense attorney Rachel Kugel, to talk about what we are seeing here. All right, what do you think about this case? It's just even hard to talk about because it's just so tragic.
It's so tragic, and it's just so senseless, right? Oh, I mean, all these lives cut short, all these lives ruined, you know, for what? It's really just a case that's hard to even think about. You feel, and I know that her husband ended up passing away as well, probably, I'm sure, spurred on by having to deal with this horrible, heinous, violent death. So, I mean, it's bad all around. I think that this defendant is likely to see a very, very serious sentence. We've already seen this judge give more than the state has asked for. We're probably going to see something similar.
Yeah, I would think so as well. I mean, it probably will be the same. And they're young men. The chance of parole for the one man here, probably the same. Who knows? We'll have to see. But that's, of course, always important when the judge is taking a look at youngsters in a lot of these cases, and to have to look at what's going to come back on appeal with excessive sentencing guidelines and making sure that youth maybe do have some chance to rehabilitate. But in this case, I mean, it's just such a tough one in this situation. When you are representing clients, and I mean, this is such a tragic case. I would hope that you've never had to deal with a case like this. But what are you talking about with your clients when they're facing sentencing?
So I think what's difficult in this one in particular, and something that we do certainly talk about a lot, is that taking responsibility. If you're going to enter a plea agreement, you have to take responsibility. You have to not only allocate and say what you've done, but you really have to show the court that you're taking responsibility for what you've done. And I think here, it's part of the problem with these boys is that they kind of both, even in their admission of guilt, are sort of saying the other one is more guilty. Right? They're sort of defending themselves a little bit by saying that the other one is kind of the real bad one and they're the helper. They can't both be the helper, right?
Right.
It's very likely that that they were both involved. They both did everything, right? They both had access to both parts, both watching out for and hitting this woman. And I think that's also what you've seen the judge kind of not like about these guys. And when he sentences them is despite their youth and their hopefully chance for rehabilitation, he's seeing them not really take full responsibility, even as they're taking responsibility. And as a defense attorney, when you're sitting next to someone, you've counseled them, like, if we're going to take this plea, you know, we got to do it right. You know, we've got to allocate, we've got to be remorseful, we've got to take responsibility fully. If they're not going to, or they tell you they're going to, and then they don't in the moment, I mean, you know, the hair stands up on your arms because you know that that you're really going to make a judge unhappy.